Hey everybody, we're here for our daily activity video, and one of the things we want to talk about is games you can play. So we're going to demo out a couple of games, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat that our games are going to be more for the older kids because this is my kid. She's taller than I am. So we've gotten rid of our games for younger kids, so we don't have them anymore, so we can't show them to you. But do you remember what some of the games were that you liked when you were a preschooler?
Well,
in early elementary school?
I did. Well, we have Guess Who Out. Yeah, I liked that.
We liked that. What about the ones even before that? Candyland?
Oh, Candyland. Yeah, definitely.
Always a classic. Hi-Ho Cherry-O was one of her favorites. But she mentioned Guess Who. Now I'm going to show you a little trick you can do. This is our version of Guess Who. It's probably from when she was 4 or 5, so it's probably about 10 years old now. And I'm going to show you, we actually have, this version that we have uses less cards, and it's a little more sturdier than the original version.
Yep.
But you actually get to pick who your person is, if I remember correctly, instead of being assigned with a card. But one of the things I like with Guess Who is as long as you have the same set of people as somebody else, you could actually play this on FaceTime or Skype or Hangout with a friend, so as long as your boards are the same and you have the same edition. This is something you can play with your friend who is not at home with you. So that is definitely a good option there. And I know she said she liked it as a preschooler, but I remember playing it until probably at least I was her age. So, Guess Who is a great option.
It's kind of an all-ages game.
And it's a good option no matter how old your kids are.
Jenga.
Jenga is always a lot of stacking fun. We're starting with some of our games for younger kids. They can start stacking them, and this is, I guess we can call this an engineering challenge too. So they're getting a little bit of a science lesson in there. Okay. This is another game that I think would be a great one to play separated from somebody over online.
If anything, it's even better because it's harder to see their board.
Exactly. So, you know, your standard Battleship. I don't think this has changed very much since I was a kid. Or even the one I played at my grandparents', that was my parent. That was my mom's game. There we go. You know, your standard pegs and board. So you're just going to put your things, and this is definitely something that you can play with somebody who's local or with somebody who's not quite as close. All right, this is a game, and it's by Ravensburger. They make great puzzles, but they also make some really cool games. This is one of them. It's called Labyrinth. It says ages 7+. But you're 13. Well, you're 14, and we were enjoying this summer.
My dad doesn't, though.
Yes. Her dad doesn't. He doesn't like when we play games and you can sabotage other people. So
that's part of the game.
Yep. So it's a board that has so many fixed spaces, and then you deal out tiles. And there's one extra tile, and when it's your turn, you're going to use that extra tile to push a line of tiles in one direction or another. So in this case, you can see that next to the yellow, and they're trying to get to the book, say, the path isn't there, it's a broken straight path, but I can slide that T-shaped piece with the ghost in, and now I can get to the book on my turn. And then the next piece that slides out will become the piece for the next person. So, and it's a fun game. Like I said, we've been playing it probably since my daughter was 7 or 8. We're still playing it when she's 13. So it's a good game when your kids are a mix of ages. We go next. Codenames. Okay, I have been seeing Codenames on the shelf and thinking that looked interesting for quite a while. But I finally saw it for a good price and said, you know what, I'm going to try it. This game is so much fun. We brought it for Christmas with her cousins who are almost 10 and almost 12. And they all loved it. That was the game. We brought a whole bunch of games, and this was the one that everyone wanted to play over and over again. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get it out. So you lay out a 5x5 board, and each card has a word on it, and the card in front of the picture is the Spy Master's clue that tells you which are your special agents, which are the other special agents, who is the assassin, that's the black X, and then the tan spots are just bystanders. So the goal is to give a one-word clue that will relate to one or more of your agents. So in this case, I tried coming up with I'm the blue person. I tried to come up with London and Princess, but that was hard because Tube is on there, and that's the British subway system, and that's not ours. So one thing I came up with was iron and drill if you used the word mining. And then you would say mining 2, and then your team would have to try and guess which 2 words you're talking about. And you can do a clue for 3 or 4 words, for 1 word. It really depends on what the words and what you think your people will need to know. So that is a fun game. It's a lot of fun. There's tons of cards, so you are going to be able to play it over and over again. We probably spent, what do you think, about 2 hours at Christmas?
At least.
And that was in one session. Probably played it more than one time over the weekend.
We did play it more than one time over the weekend.
And actually, her cousins came to visit, and we weren't there, and they asked the grandparents to play this, but it was our game that we had brought, so they were kind of disappointed they didn't get to play it again. So I would say the only requirement for this is they need to be able to read and really understand what most of the words are. But when we've played it with the younger kids who may not know all the words, we've just replaced cards.
If you're on a team, it's definitely good.
But we've also asked your younger cousin, okay, which word don't you know what it is? And we've either told her what it is, or we've just pulled that card out and played with other cards. Yeah. All right, let's go with, this is another one of our favorite games, but it might be a little bit too topical today. Do you think?
Show it anyway.
Okay, Pandemic. So it's called Pandemic, and it is about diseases that are going through the world. And one of the things I like about it is it's a cooperative game. You either win or lose as a team, and your goal is to go around the world and eradicate it from the different... Now this does have an age, I think it says 12.
Yeah, it's a lot harder.
It says 8+, but I would say you probably need to be at least 10 to play it. But they'll learn a little bit of geography, you'll learn a little bit about the spreading of diseases, and how it goes from one place to another. And then you have different jobs.
Yep.
Who have different powers in the game, and you kind of all work together to try and eradicate it. So we played this probably 2 or 3 nights a week during the summer.
During the summer, yeah. We would play that pretty often.
We have a lot less time to play games during the school year when she has her activities going on.
But I don't know, so we can play some of these.
Okay. In a similar vein is Forbidden Island. She just got
less timely.
She just got this one for Christmas, exactly. Slightly less timely. You're trying to prevent the islands from sinking and escape by collecting 4 of these treasures. Again, this is a game with a little bit of work that you could play remotely if multiple people had it. So there are different, I like this, what is this called?
The
Lion with Wings. Statue of the Wind, they call it in the game. But it's a lion with
wings. They all have names,
but
like, no one really cares.
And a goblet.
Fire. Yeah.
Fire's always good. No.
Okay, don't.
And just like the last, what you're going to do is you're going to build a game board. So this is what the game board looks like. Some tiles have the circles with the matching totems you're trying to collect. Others will show you where to start. And the Fool's Landing with the helicopters, where you have to get to once you've collected all of the 4 items so that you can leave. As you play the game, you're going to flip cards that will cause some of these tiles to start to sink, which you do by flipping them over. And then if you draw their card again, they actually do sink and they disappear, which restricts your movement and the ability to collect your items or get back to Fool's Landing. But of course, there's ways that you can shore up and restore parts of the island. So it's a lot of fun. It's a cooperative game. You win or lose as a team. All right, now we're back, and this is another game that we got 2 of in the summer, or for Christmas she got 2 games of. So this is Exit the Game. These are escape room games. I'm going to tell you the one thing that I don't like about them.
They're not reusable.
Is they're not reusable. They are once and done. And you do cut things up and write on them, so you can't even pass them on to the next person. And you really have to be able to do that in order to get to parts of the game. Like you can see, this was a card
that we had to
cut it in half. But these are a lot of fun. They run about $10 where you find them, $10 to $15 maybe.
You can usually find them at Target.
Yeah, we found some at Target.
Find them at Meijer,
and maybe some of the smaller local stores. I think I've seen them at too.
Like Learning Express might make sense.
Learning Express, Vault of Midnight. I check online. A lot of these places are offering curbside pickup during the quarantine. But at $10, $15, you are less than the cost of one person in an escape room. And I would say they've taken us, this one I think took us about an hour. You can get clues if you need them.
Like an hour and a half. I think
maybe this one was an hour and a half. The other one took us the longer.
It did.
Orient Express.
Definitely. That one was hard.
And
we didn't even get it
And
right.
that one we got wrong. So, but this one we beat. So, and there's probably about 6 or 7 of those. So that's good. Again, it says ages 10 plus. I think you were a pretty good age at 14. Yeah. How could we forget our favorite? Clue. We love playing Clue.
We do like it, yeah.
And it can actually be hard to find. It was out of print for a while, so...
Wait, what?
Yeah, you actually could not get regular Clue for a while. But anyway, this is Clue. It's a great game. We love it. If you're looking for a fun 80s movie to share with your kids...
Clue is...
I showed her Clue.
Yeah.
My husband had never seen it. It was like one of my cult favorites when I was a kid, and her dad had never seen it, and we really liked it. We had a good... fun time watching it.
Yeah. Do you think we can tell them that it has 3 different endings?
It does have 3 different endings. I saw it in the theaters when it originally came out, and when you saw it in the theater,
it was random.
It was random as to which ending you got. Some theaters were showing ending A, some were showing ending B. The good news is if you stream it or get it on a disc, it is all 3
endings.
And actually they say, well, it could have been what was option A. Or it could have happened like this, which was option B. But what really happened is, and that was what was released as option C. All right, let's go. While we're talking about old classics, how about we go with the bottom game? All right, so this is the game of Scattergories. I'm going to be honest. This was actually, I took this to college with me. And we had this when I was in high school before that. So we're talking about 30 years old on this game box. I'm assuming you can still buy it.
Hopefully.
But if not, we'll tell you how you can make your own version. So there's a there's a die with all the letters on it.
So that...
Yeah, there's no Q. I don't think you get stuck with a Q. And then each person gets a pad of paper. The glare is not going to let you see this, but... So you get a pad of paper with to put your answers on. And then there are different cards that give you a list. And then you pick which list you're all going to work from. So in this case, list 2 is vegetables, states, things you throw away, and so on. And your goal is to come up with one item for each... That starts with the letter for each category. And the trick is you have to come up with something that nobody else comes up with in order to earn a point.
Also, if you have a...
Let's say you had an M and you had cartoon characters. You could write Mickey Mouse or Mighty Mouse.
However, everyone
and you would get 2 points.
2 points. But then again, everyone would get Mickey Mouse. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is a fun old school game. With the kids off from school, probably a good...
Oh, plus it has a timer.
Yeah, so. It has a timer. It's probably a good replacement for their English class. And then the one thing I will say is the timer. The ages recommended on this are not listed on the box. I would say probably 10 or 12, but I do suggest giving the younger kids a little longer than you give the adults, just to
Even it out.
even it out a little bit. Okay. This is a game. It's called The Chameleon.
Can
And
you see it?
I actually found it.
I can see it.
I found it at the store. We sent it to a friend for Christmas, and we've played it a couple times. It says you can play it with 3, but to 8
no.
people. I will
Don't play
say
it with 3 people. Don't play it with 3 people.
I will say when we played it with 6, it was much better. And the goal is you have category cards that are going to give you, these are all different animals that fall into the category cartoon animals. And then each person is dealt a card that's going to either tell them, you're going to roll the dice.
So there are 2 dice. Roll them, and every combination corresponds to a specific place on this card.
Right.
So,
but it's not like you're going to roll B3 and then you're going to pick
6
B3.
Would take you to, so yeah.
So if you rolled a 1 and a 6, it's going to take you to spot A1, and it's going to be Garfield. And your goal is to give a clue that's going to...
wait, hold up.
But about that word.
Does not know that.
Right.
They don't get that information.
Yes. And if you're the chameleon, you don't know what the word is. And so you would give a clue for Garfield. So looking at the words, I might say cat. And then she would say, but she's the chameleon and she doesn't know that it's Garfield.
Well, it would really just be Garfield or Simba. But, like, no one thinks of Simba as a cat.
Okay.
So
let's...
That.
Okay, so I might say likes to eat. And now she would know...
Yeah, that's Garfield's.
Or Scooby-Doo likes to eat.
That's
too.
true. I'm like
but so as the chameleon, you're going to try and blend in and give a clue that is hopefully going to also lead you to the right word. And then at the end, you all get together and talk and decide who you think the chameleon is. And if you...
The chameleon has to
try and blend in. And then the chameleon actually will earn a point, too, if they can guess what the word was at the end. So you don't want to be too obvious, because you don't want to make it easy for the chameleon, but you don't want to be so vague that people think you're the chameleon.
I'm just having flashbacks to that one time when I was the chameleon.
And had to go first.
Twister. No. No, the word was Twister. It was board game. Games was the category. And I thought it was Trivial Pursuit, and... oh gosh, that
the colored circles.
Colored circles. I was like, oh, it's Trivial Pursuit. Trivia.
Okay, so the next game we're going to talk about is Dixit. If you've ever played Apples to Apples, it plays a little bit like that, except it's all pictures. And if you're looking for a good version of Apples to Apples with your kids, we do recommend the Disney version. Even if you're not huge Disney fans, it's
better for kids, I'd say.
Right. It starts at a lower age than Disney Junior. So the goal with Dixit is you're going to have 6 cards, and I'm just going to grab 3 cards, and I'm going to give you 3 cards, and I'm going to pick one of my cards, and I am going to say games.
Okay. Yeah,
and then everybody's going to look at the 2 pictures and try and guess which one was a game. And it's either going to be card 1, which is my card, or card 2, which was her card. So I think it's going to be pretty obvious here that games was probably the chess players, which it was. That was my card. But that's how you play. And and then you earn points
based on how many people you trick if you are not the person who played the card, or if you're the person who played the card. There's a bunch of rules for points.
Yeah, the points is very complicated. If all players find the active player's card, the person giving the words card, then they don't get any points and everybody else gets 2 points. If nobody finds the active player's card, it's the same scoring. The active player doesn't get any. So as the active player, you want a few people to pick your card, but not everybody. So you do need at least 3 people to play this game. Okay. Exploding Kittens. She kept telling me, and I kept seeing it everywhere, I want Exploding Kittens. One thing to say, or that she's played this at school. One thing I want to say is if you're shopping for Exploding Kittens, there is a not safe for work, also not safe for kids, so make sure you don't buy that one if you're planning to play with your family. So again, you're going to go through, and there are going to be Exploding Kitten cards, and you do not want to explode. You draw one, you lose. So hopefully you have a diffuse card.
Everyone starts out with one, don't worry.
And then other cards are things like a taco cat.
And if you play 2 of those, you can take someone else's card at random.
You can steal cards. Or you can attack somebody else and take their cards.
And then you don't have to draw, and they have to draw twice. It's great.
Yep. And by drawing is how you're at risk of getting an Exploding Kitten. Or the Rainbow Roughing Cat.
It's basically a taco cat. They
work the
same, except you have to have one of the same card. So.
And I recommend reading the cards. They have really cute sayings on them.
Yeah.
This says it's for ages 7+. I'd say that's probably a pretty accurate
that's fair,
age range. All right. This is your replacement for school.
I love this game.
Classic Trivial Pursuit. My mom always says nobody can beat me. Well, she has beaten me. So Once.
And I got like a really easy question for a peg.
And our version does say age 16+, but she's been playing it for a couple years now. I probably don't have to get it out. Everybody kind of knows what Trivial Pursuit is. This is one. They probably have junior versions. The one thing I would say is you would think, oh, I can play an old version of Trivial Pursuit.
No,
but if you try... We've tried playing at my parents' their original from the 1984. We've even tried playing the 2000 version. And what happens is, especially her, she can't answer a lot of the geography questions or a lot of the pop culture because, like with the geography, things have changed so much since 1984 in the world. There's new countries that don't exist anymore, all of that.
New records have been set.
Population, what's your favorite, what's your most important import? A lot of that has changed over time.
Yeah, even questions about presidents have changed.
Right.
I remember that one.
So we ran into that a couple times, some of the ones that are 15 or 20 years old or older.
Yeah.
And then the pop culture, the entertainment, the sports, they're so far removed from her time.
Yeah,
the things that were current that everybody knew.
Than I normally am in those categories.
So we do recommend not using the ones that you grew up with if you want to play with your kids.
Oh, and then you've got the alternate editions, which focus in on a specific thing. We've got Harry Potter.
Right. And we just found we have a Marvel Cinematic Universe.
One of my friends has a Lord of the Rings one.
So there's lots of different versions of Trivial Pursuit. So those are great. I'm assuming there's still a kids version. I know we had kids questions when I was younger. Let's talk about Munchkin.
Good idea.
Munchkin's another game that gives our family trouble because she and I like it. You really need 3 players.
Yeah.
And it's another game where you can sabotage or help other people, and we've already covered the fact that her dad does not like sabotage. So he gets mad at us when we sabotage him. He wants to help everybody. He's no fun to play with. I will say that's also true in categories. When I was a kid and we played with my family when I was in high school and stuff, we would all argue with each other. That doesn't count. That's not really in that category. And my husband's just like, oh,
I don't care.
Okay, that's fine. Take it. And I'm like, you are no fun to play with.
Oh, yeah. The other
she'll argue with me.
Yeah, and then the other fun thing about categories is you can come up with the most absurd things. If you've got S and one of the things is things that are made of metal, stainless steel spork is a totally legit answer. It's great. Yeah, I've done that. Stainless steel spork works.
Stainless steel. Well, I guess a stainless steel spork is a better option than stainless steel.
It's a stainless steel spork.
All right. Well, and then is that the same as my stainless steel spoon?
Oh,
do we both get it, or do they cancel each other out?
Oh, no.
Yes, it will start some arguments, but ours are all in good nature.
Yeah.
I guess. So those are just a few of our games. We'd love to hear about what you like. Actually, the one game I didn't bring down that's good that she liked as a preschooler was Mousetrap.
Oh, yes.
We used to play that all the time. That was not a mom game. That was a dad game because as much as I'm the engineer, I hated dealing with the intricate little pieces and getting everything to work right. I will say her version is a lot better that we bought when she was little, is a lot better than what they had when we were kids. The one we had were kids, it never worked right.
Oh, and
hers does seem to work.
The other thing about Mousetrap is, like, you don't even have to play the game. It's just fun to play with the contraption.
So those are some of our favorite games. We'd love to hear what games your family is enjoying. And also, if you have ideas of where you can get some of these games locally during the quarantine. So I know Learning Express is offering curbside pickup, but the only one of these games I saw available for pickup on their website was Clue. Vault of Midnight has a game selection, and they are offering curbside pickup, but they don't have their game selection online. You would have to call them. I know I've seen Munchkin there. I think I've seen Pandemic, maybe Code Names. Other possibilities you could check for would be some of your local bookstores. Nicola's Books is offering curbside or delivery. Little Seedling is offering curbside or delivery. So they would be good maybe for more of your younger kids' games. So just let us know what games you guys are enjoying this week, where you think you can find them locally. I know Target and Meijer carry a bunch of these games and would be options as well.